Hi, I'm Peter J. Ray. Welcome. Today's topic is John S. Ray's Oberlin College Diary, 1944 into 1945, Part 9. This was originally published as a Zook Family Memories Collection, number 21, on June 27th, 1989. And this is the second part, actually, of that ZFMC, including the notorious bachelor party of Harold Freilich on December 23rd, 1944. So here we go. December 4th, 1944. This has been a rather hard day so far as grades are concerned. I picked up a lousy 74.3 or a C on my survey blue book. I'm completely caught up in organic chemistry lab. We had a really rough football game with L section this afternoon. The game ended in a scoreless tie with us on their 2-yard line. Weimar really slugged one of their players. Dr. Broman asked me to recheck the calculations on my iron. Something's haywire, but I can't find the mistake. Damn it all. Tony and I acted as leaders of a group of freshman men and upper-class women in a discussion on dating. I think it was pretty successful. December 5th. I got very sleepy this morning doing my German and fell asleep and slept right through class until noon. Dr. Broman found a mistake in my iron calculations. However, I'm still pretty far off. There's a chance that he mixed unknowns on me, so he's asked me to run a gravimetric determination on it to check. What fun! I ran my CU known and made up the unknown. Couldn't get the physics problem for homework, but stayed up until after 1, getting my organic chemistry up to date. I am very sleepy. December 6th. Well, the organic chemistry blue book came back, and I got a 67, a C- on it. Off to my usual rugged start in every course. I may have to knuckle down here before too long. Putt Denman is coming in, and he and Jean Emery are to be married Saturday. I was going to get caught up in German, but Bruce and I had a long talk about him and Gretchen. They have a real problem. We gave Norman a real run for his money this evening. Detman is going to stay here tonight after he gets in. December 7th. I got caught up to within about 5 pages of where I ought to be in German. I was stupid as hell in physics lab this afternoon, but I blundered through all right. Bill Gerard brought in about $80 worth of flower orders. Things are coming along nicely for the formal. Detman came in this evening about 11:30 and talked with us an hour about Army life. We all got a new slant. He thinks that being in the Army is the next thing to being in the penitentiary. He said that we should really appreciate being civilians, and he meant it. Well, maybe he's right. December 8th. Corsage orders are coming along fine. I will probably hit about 150 orders. I got everything done in organic chemistry lab and studied German the early part of the evening. Bruce and Putt couldn't make it, but Duff and I went out to Presti's for 3 beers. We had a fine discussion. Norman is really getting this castration complex right. December 9th. This has been a big day. I got through German class in good shape. Putt Detman and Jean Emery were married this afternoon in Fairchild Chapel. Duff was the best man and Bruce and I were the 2 ushers. It was a nice ceremony and everything went off without a hitch. There was a reception at Gables afterward. Then we went over to Warner Gym to help finish decorating for the formal this evening. Betty and I went to the formal and had a good time as usual. We had some wine at Timmy's during the intermission. It made the evening that much more enjoyable. We had a rather torrid schwantz afterward. Duff, Bruce, and I went out to Pinky's after that for a hamburger. I guess we can't have the New Year's dinner at Pinky's after all. December 10th. I missed church and slept till noon per usual on Sunday, and did my physics this afternoon. Bruce and I almost got dates for this evening, but finally decided against it. We're improving fast. December 11th. Some of our yield cards in organic came back this afternoon. I averaged about 8 over 10 on each of them, and didn't get too much studying done this evening. December 12th. I didn't have my German done, but I told the professor I had been working on the German play, so it was all right. I ran my last CU sample in Quant Lab. My last 2 samples agreed to within 1 part over 1,000. I did 1 organic assignment this evening, but got stuck on the last 2 physics problems. It's about 1 now, so I'm knocking it off. December 13th. Well, the blue books are coming again. I've got one next Friday, next Saturday, and next Wednesday. Got a hell of a lot of work done in quant lab this afternoon. Also practiced this lousy German play after lab. Betty and I went to the rec just barely, and then out to Presti's for 5 beers and a long talk. It was quite a walk through the snow, and we really had one fine time. December 14th. I slept till about 9:30 and then finally got to work on the German. I gave a long recitation in class on the first page of the assignment, which was the only one I had prepared. Pretty lucky. The physics lab went along okay this afternoon. My flower agents, except for Weinstein, paid up. I've got about $350 here at the house in flower money. Finally got the hayride straightened out. We'll fill both wagons, and Dr. Renfro and his wife will be the chaperones. Good stuff. Jim Truitt is getting a bunch of sailors for us. I studied about an hour for the physics blue book tomorrow. December 15th. The days are really jammed lately. The physics blue book this morning wasn't too bad. I think I got about an 85. I didn't get everything done in organic chemistry lab I should have, and smashed a precedent this evening and studied through for 3 hours to catch up on my back assignments for the blue book in German tomorrow. Duffy writes that she can't make it for New Year's. December 16th. Today has really been a heller. Putt and Jean got back from their honeymoon last night. Putt is feeling pretty low because he has to take off for Texas late this evening. I paid Wood my flower bill this morning and made $25, and he gave me a $5 bonus. The German blue book wasn't too hard, but I have no idea at all what I got. I had lab this afternoon for the 6th day in a row. We're making up next Friday afternoon's labs so that our vacation can start a few hours earlier. We had the German play practice after lab. Incidentally, I got a pretty good yield today. About 5 this afternoon, I made one final check on our hayride and found that we now have only one wagon. What a mess. I ran my tail off and finally got another one. However, it was over an hour late getting there, so we all piled in downstairs. Because I had to do so much running around, Betty and I never did get set. Boy, was it cold. We stopped off here at the house afterwards to warm up. Betty and I had a torrid 15 minutes on the sofa after the rest left. By the time we had gotten back here to the house about 12:45, Mrs. Bryant was back and was raising particular hell. She's determined to have us thrown out. Mrs. Bryant, Duff, Bruce, and I are going to see Dean Bosworth tomorrow afternoon at 4:30. We held a council of war afterward. We have it all figured out pretty well, and I don't think there's much she can really do. However, you never know. It's after 2 a.m. now, so we're knocking it off. December 17th. Bruce and I worked breakfast and then went back to bed until noon. I went down to see Betty after dinner and explained everything to her. When I got back to the house, Bruce and Mrs. Bryant were talking in our room. It seems that she's had time to think it over, and we now stand acquitted. The 3 of us went to the Baldwin Open House to see Eddie. I saw Kay for the first time in about a week. I'll have to date her again. Then we went over to Finney Chapel and sang with the Glee Club in the Christmas Vesper service. After supper, we practiced the German play and then gave it. I forgot most of the words to my solo, but I filled in without stopping, and I guess it went off all right. I picked up Betty Hess, a transfer at Johnson, afterwards. We had a few beers and a rather passionate 5 minutes on Johnson's inside porch. The Arboretum is very beautiful right now. It was another large day. December 18th. This has been a rather dull day. The organic lab went along okay. I studied organic this evening for the Blue Book Wednesday. December 19th. The way Fraulein Weber talks, our Blue Book marks must be pretty vile. I almost went to sleep in Quant Lab and finally got around to buying my Christmas cards. They're a pretty scarce article now. I studied again this evening for the organic Blue Book and don't know too much about this stuff. December 20th. The organic chemistry Blue Book was really rough. I will be lucky if I passed it. I got an 80 on the last physics Blue Book, and Dr. Broman says that he will run my iron unknown over vacation. Something screwy about it. Kay and I went to the rec, the library, and Vespers this evening. It's been very sleepy weather lately. December 21st. I didn't have my German assignment done at all well, but managed to get through class in really fine shape. By some strange miracle, Fraulein Weber tells me I am getting a B+ for the term so far. I can't understand that at all. The physics lab was a snap. The three of us triple-dated to the rec and the basketball game this evening. Akron beat us 73-54. It was a very fast game. We went down to Timmy's afterwards and had a fine old time. Betty gave me a pack of Lucky Strike cigarettes, and the boys gave me a new pipe for Christmas. December 22nd. It got down to -7 degrees last night, mighty cool weather. Our organic blue books came back. I missed the transformations en toto to come up with a 62 or a C-. I'm amazed that I passed. I'm seriously planning to study organic chemistry after vacation. I took my advanced quant lab book over to Dr. Broman this afternoon. He's going to check it over vacation. I was the last one in the house to take off. The bus station was really jammed. My bus got to Sandusky about 5, so I made it in time for supper. Everybody's looking good here at home. Carol is wearing her hair differently, and Dick has one of his fingers cut up pretty badly. I'm knocking it off early because I'm pretty tired. December 23rd. Mom had a ride all set up for me with the cases this morning. We left for Marion about 8 o'clock. The roads weren't too bad, and the cases seemed to be good folks. I stopped in to see Mr. Hale at the Y the first thing in Marion, Ohio. He tells me that nearly enough money has been given for a complete new YMCA building. Really a fine thing. He also told me that Jack Holt was killed in action in France. Jack was a wonderful guy, and it's hard to believe that he's gone. Grandpa and I got the wedding cake this morning and met Moldy, one of Marge's roommates. This afternoon, Harold Freilich, Bob Slaughter, and I bulled. I got a date with Dottie Taylor for the formal this evening, and managed to just miss the wedding rehearsal this evening. However, it seems that the best man has the easiest part. After the rehearsal, I drove Harold, Aunt Mary, and Barbara to the temple for the Jobs Demolay installation ceremonies. Bob and I got dressed in the meantime. Then I picked everyone up again, including Ginny Wirtz, and dropped them around town. We all finally got to the dance. I'm afraid Dorothy hasn't changed a bit. Mert tells me that Cliff is engaged to some girl he's met since he's gone into the service. Hard to believe. After the dance, we all went out to Solinger's for a little party. Very interesting time. After we had dropped off our dates, we took Harold over by McKinley Park and hauled out the quart of whiskey I'd gotten from Uncle John Lacey earlier in the evening. The three of us knocked it off in about half an hour, Harold getting by far the largest part. I was in no shape to drive, so Bob drove us home. Harold and I were pretty high. Dead drunk, you might say. Yes, sir, a real bachelor's party. Well, when we got out of the car at Aunt Mary Freilich's, Harold fell out. We helped him into the house, and he threw up all over the living room walls. My, was that boy sick. Then we took him out to the kitchen sink. For about half an hour I held him up with one arm and washed the mess off his arms and face with the other. Then I started to feel heavy. I finally couldn't stay vertical anymore, so I laid down on the kitchen floor for about an hour, with the dog licking my face. I was just too heavy to move an inch. Harold was left hanging over the sink. Slaughter carried on for about an hour alone. I finally vomited violently and pried myself off the floor. We got Harold set on the living room couch about 6 o'clock and finally got into bed upstairs. Oh me, what an evening. December 24th. Aunt Mary took care of Harold from 6 on this morning. It seems that he needed quite a bit of attention. Bob and I finally got up about noon. Harold was lying in a sort of coma with his mouth hanging open. He finally woke up early this afternoon. He looked terrible and was still violently sick at his stomach. Dick and I rushed around all over town making final arrangements for the wedding. Norm McMillan came over from Mount Gilead to be one of the ushers. Harold finally got rid of the last bit of his trouble about 6:30 this evening, just in time to get to the wedding. He felt 1,000% better. The ceremony went off very nicely after all, and I think Harold will be able to remember it. Dale took some pictures afterward at the studio. Then Harold and Marge went out to the Kennedys for the night. Then Dick acted as chauffeur for Mert and me for about an hour. Slaughter, one of the Trafser boys, Dick, the three girls, and I went to some joint north of Marion for something to eat. Then Dick dropped Mert and me off at her house. We really had a time. We were both very sleepy. The whole thing amounted to about a wholesale ruckus. A real evening. December 25th. Finally rolled out about 1 this afternoon. The whole relation was down at Grandma's for Christmas dinner, and boy, it was good. We all stuffed ourselves. Harold and Marge stopped around, and we didn't get done eating and doing the dishes until about 4. Uncle John, Lacey, Bob, and I did the dishes. Uncle John really got an enormous charge when we told him about Saturday night. Santa Claus came about 4:30, and I think everyone thoroughly enjoyed the proceedings. The folks gave me a dandy pair of ice skates. Harold, Bob, and I triple-dated to the show in Grandpa's car. The streets were bad, but I didn't have any trouble. I took Mert right home this evening because we'll both have to get up early in the morning. December 26th. We left Marion about 9 a.m. and got to Sandusky about noon. The house was really cold. I slept all afternoon and worked on my German this evening. We had a good old game of hearts this evening, too. December 27th. I worked on my German again this morning and nearly finished it. My bus left Sandusky this afternoon about 4 o'clock. I made it over to Gables in time for supper. Kay and I had a fine date this evening. Neither Bruce nor Duff is in yet. December 28th. I got up and finished Der Schimmelreiter this morning. Fraulein Weber isn't back yet. Spent most of the afternoon in Quant Lab. It seems that I got a 58 on my iron, however he's going to let me try again on another sample. It's going to keep me moving to get everything done in Quant Lab this term. Kay and I didn't have a date this evening for a change. I did some work on organic this evening. Big stuff Kurt Smith showed up this evening too. He's still quite impressed with himself. Dr. Ward has taken over our art survey course. The organic lecture this morning was very interesting. I worked in both quant and organic labs this afternoon. Kay and I went to the rec this evening and then out to Presti's for some beer and a long talk. We brought 3 quarts of champagne back with us. A very fine evening. December 30th. This has been a big day. I worked most of the morning and afternoon on flower orders and champagne deliveries. Also got some organic chemistry done. I only sold about 105 corsages this time. We're making $2.75 a quart on this champagne. Mrs. Presti really did right by us on the party this evening. Everything went over fine except that I was with Betty instead of Kay. The champagne made me feel dull as hell. Dulio's band was pretty good, but I just wasn't on the ball. After the formal, Betty and I went up to the breakfast room in the inn. My morals are slipping even farther than usual. It's about 3:30 now, and we're finally ready to knock it off. December 31st. I got everything set up for breakfast this morning and then went sound asleep on the couch at Gables and slept till noon after we got back, and finished up my organic and physics this afternoon. This evening we triple-dated to the show in Timmy's. The new year didn't come in with much of a bang, but we had a good time. Kay is a good woman. January 1st, 1945. I slept 2 hours this morning between classes. I've really been feeling beat. The organic chemistry lab went along all right. We bowled this evening and we're knocking it off early. It's about 9:30 p.m. January 2nd. I bluffed through German this morning, but it can't last forever. She's going to have us write summaries in German of each assignment. That'll either make me or break me in the course. I'm running iron and limestone at the same time in Quant Lab. I studied hard on organic chemistry for about an hour and a half this evening. Then one of the wastebaskets caught fire, so we took it into Norman's room and raised quite a bit of smoke. Weinstein yelled bloody murder when he came in, so we got into more trouble with Mrs. Bryant. She took it pretty well until Weinstein went down and chatted with her. Now she's madder than all hell. I knew we'd leave sooner or later. I got stuck on my physics assignment. January 3rd. I didn't turn my physics in this morning. I got an 82/88 on my CU NI unknown and studied German this evening. A very dull day. January 4th. I did well in German class this morning. Our physics lab section only has 3 left in it. Somewhere I've picked up a lousy cold. I'm taking all my sundry stuff to cure it, and will knock it off early this evening. This morning my cold was pretty bad, so I cut 2 classes. However, I managed to get my back physics problems done and turned in. I also turned in 3 experiments in organic chemistry lab. This evening the Citadel played its first 2 volleyball matches. We dropped the first game in each match, but came back both times to win the last 2. Mighty close. January 6th. I slept until 11 this morning and cut my German class. This afternoon we practiced for our little skit this evening. Then we went out to Presti's and got boozed up before dinner. We're going to the dogs. Mother called this evening and wondered if everything was all right. She also said that they're pretty sure that cousin Tommy Zook has gone across. I hope Grandma doesn't take it too hard. This evening we tripled to the basketball game. It was a fine time, but we lost by 9 points. We gave our skit at Rec and had a quart of champagne at Timmy's. Kay and I had a fine time. She got pretty happy on the champagne. I hope she doesn't catch my cold. January 7th. We went to cabinet meeting this morning. High pictures were taken. I worked on physics this afternoon. We had a good bull session this evening. It looks as if Mrs. Bryant has been going through our rooms looking for alcohol. She gives me one royal pain. To be continued. Now we have 3 comments. The first by the author, John S. Ray. Quote, "This ZFMC really transported me back. It's a wonder I didn't get thrown out of Oberlin College. I wonder if Marge and Harold Freilich have ever forgiven me for Harold's bachelor party. Aunt Mary Freilich was a real angel to put up with our shenanigans. What a time. Wow. John S. Ray, Rocky River, Ohio." And the next is from Michael S. Ray, my cousin, the son of Dick Ray. Quote, "How many more of these are there going to be? I have a stack of ZFMCs here a foot high." Michael S. Ray, Lyle, Illinois. And the last is from Isabel Stevens. Quote, "I surely did enjoy the last issue of the ZFMC, just as I have the previous ones. The cover of Your Dad as a Boy was interesting in that very often adults bear little resemblance to pictures of them as kids. But who could fail to spot this as the future John S. Ray? He was a good-looking young fellow. Reading your father's diaries of college years gives me hope that my grandson will survive and become eventually an outstanding adult. I'm so happy and thankful that your father's progress in recuperation from his heart surgery has been so positive, and I just have no doubt that it will continue. With his strong character, he will it so. Isabel Stevens, Rocky River, Ohio." So that concludes today's presentation of John S. Ray's Oberlin College Diary, 1944 to 1945, Part 9. Thank you so much for watching. Good luck with your own efforts and family history efforts, if this is something that you're interested in, finding and preserving and old diaries and letters, and interviewing elderly relatives while they're alive. So thank you so much for watching. God bless you. Take care, and I'll see you next time.